Are
We're
back.
back.
Today is November 19th. Rachel Alexander from the Salem Reporter. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Jacob?
I'm having a good day. I'll say that. I woke up, the sun is shining, making the most of the opportunities in front of us. So I'm feeling overall good about it for sure. But I don't know how next week is Thanksgiving. I'm not sure how that happened already.
Yeah, that's it. I don't have my oven timing figured out. I got like cauliflower to go get for the fam, so we'll figure it out.
You better. I love that. Do you have like a special cauliflower recipe? Like, is that your dish?
Yeah, it became our dish a couple of years ago. We go up to my family in Seattle, and it's like a roasted Parmesan paprika thing that did really well and is like super easy to make, so that's a win-win. I'm also in
Love it.
charge of two
Easy
pumpkin
people like
pies.
it.
Yeah.
Do you build them from scratch, or what's your pumpkin pie strategy?
Um, I do the Libby's can recipe. That's like what my grandma swears by, and she knows what's up. So I don't do the crust though. I'm not good at crusts. It's on my list of
Yeah,
skills to get better at.
I like it. We
Yeah,
are gonna do brownies with my youngest son. We started like baking at home together, which has been a lot of fun. And
nice.
brownies has been the thing we're best at so far. So we're gonna bring a plate of brownies to dinner this year, which will be fun.
There you go.
And last night, speaking of food, we had our first What's Happening Salem dinner club. And the idea behind this is that you have a group of people that sign up. You fill out a questionnaire that kind of helps decide like what you're interested in, what your goals are for the meeting, and just kind of learning a little bit about your personality. And then based on your responses, you get matched up with a table of six at different restaurants around Salem. Last night we had our first, and so far the feedback has been very positive. We had a few things we're working through that we'll do better next time, but overall, very positive experience. And it sounds like a
Nice.
lot of people made new friends, and it's not always easy making new friends as an adult. So I'm glad we found a way to kind of help facilitate some of this.
Yeah, yeah. Did you go to one of the dinners?
I had basketball practice, so I actually couldn't even attend the event. I had two things this week, one on Monday, one on Tuesday that I had scheduled previously, and I coach youth basketball, and the schedules came out, and I had practices on Monday and Tuesday, so I unfortunately wasn't able to attend. But I was texting a few people that attended, and then we had a video person at the end capturing a few testimonials, just hearing how the experience went. So it's not like
Nice.
it was a good time for all. We already had a few people that had already registered for the next one that attended the first one, which is exciting.
Very, very cool. Go
But
make
in
some friends,
actual
folks.
news, go make some freaking friends, folks. Alliteration, let's go. Um, Detroit Lake Drawdown. What's going on with at Detroit Lake?
Yeah, so this is happening late next year, so like a year from now. I think folks were kind of confused about that when the city started talking about it this summer, but basically the Army Corps has to lower the water level in the lake, and that's something they're legally required to do. There was a like fisheries opinion. It's basically to get more water in the river for endangered species of fish to help their passage. So legally, they have to do it. They have some leeway on like how and when, and that's kind of what they have. They've got a public comment thing open now, so people can weigh in. But the concern for Salem is we grab our drinking water mostly from the North Santiam River downstream of the dam, um, and we use like a sand filtration system, and those filters can be overloaded really easily if there's a lot of sediment in the water. So the concern is, you draw down the lake, there's more water in the river, there's like areas that are getting water over them that haven't in a while, there's more sediment, it overwhelms the filters, and suddenly our water's all gross and full of sand, or just not working out.
Yeah,
So that's what's been on the city side. There's a lot of like fish biology stuff and Detroit like recreation stuff too, and we've really been focused on the city side of things. So the core now is saying they're going to do kind of a more gradual because they have like a target height they want to get the lake to. But they're going to do it kind of gradually over a couple years. And they've been in touch with the city and kind of talking with folks about basically just like what our water system needs and the couple other cities that draw from there. So that's moving ahead. I know there's been kind of a push from some folks to see if we can stop it. It doesn't look like that's happening now. I don't have a crystal ball. There's a lot of things you can do with lawyers, but the city has been working to prepare for this too. So back in July, when this was kind of last in headlines, City Council authorized a state of emergency over drinking water, which like sounds really scary. Um,
Yeah.
but all that does is it's basically just a way on paper to say like, hey, we need to cut some corners, do some things a little faster than we normally would to prepare for this. So it's not like, oh my gosh, we're not going to have drinking water really soon. So since that, they have drilled some new wells at Guerin Island so they can pull more groundwater. Those should be online next summer. And then they're also looking at a second tie with Kaiser's water system that would let them pull more from there in an emergency. So all those things mean that the city will be in position to get the water folks need without drawing on the Santiam River if
Okay.
this does overwhelm the system. So there's kind of layers of redundancy being built in preparation.
I think one part of the concern was the lack of drinking water, but then there also was a concern about this damaging our systems and it being pretty expensive to repair. So are they hoping that this will eliminate some of that potential as well?
That's the hope. There's been a lot of like concern because the Corps did a similar drawdown with the Green Peter Reservoir, which supplies like Lebanon, Albany, and some of those towns, Sweet Home. And they had to halt it because there was a lot of sand stuff. I talked to the fisheries biologist on the project, so he's saying we don't think this is going to cause anywhere near that level of sediment because we have more flexibility on timing. That drawdown was under a court order, like you have to do it on this date, this exact way. And there's just something about the soil which is like way beyond my pay grade, but there should be less sediment in this system.
Okay.
And the city folks are feeling better about it too, is kind of what they said in a statement they sent me, the fact that it's gradual. So the hope is like we're not gonna, blow out all our filters and need to replace them. But if that does
Okay.
happen, there's stuff in place for water.
Also in the news, Rogue Brewing has closed all of their restaurants, their brewery as well.
Yeah.
And this is a big hit for Oregon. I think in Salem we have this West Salem location that had just opened in a building that has just struggled to find a tenant that's going to work. And I think people were really excited to have Rogue in West Salem. And it
Yeah.
was a sudden announcement. Like people learned the day of, like finish their shift, and
Yeah, it
then
was like a doors on the factory type deal over there. I know. I don't want to go handing out curses, but this is like the second brewery that's tried to occupy that West Salem space. It's because Gilgamesh had a location over there before, and
yep.
um, yeah. So I hope something cool happens there. Because yeah, there's not a lot of like craft beer over in West. Um,
Yeah, and it's just an interesting trend that is really impacting Oregon's economy, where people aren't drinking beer, they aren't
right.
drinking wine, they aren't drinking as much in general,
Which is
which
like
we can't
good
really,
on a
yeah,
health level, but
yeah,
then it's not
exactly,
great for the economy or like tax revenue.
yeah, yeah, like all of
Yeah,
the farmers that are relying on hops and have been struggling, and wineries where like grapes aren't even being sold, and a lot of wineries are trying to figure out how to sell their wine and get people out because people in their 20s just either can't afford wine or just aren't interested in going to a winery and having that experience. So it is interesting how like the changing and change of behaviors around alcohol consumption
it's
is
hard.
impacting our
Yeah.
economy.
No, like I feel for folks. I mean, now like you go to any brewery and you have like a couple NA options. Like a lot of places are brewing them in-house too, which is cool and like good to see. And I hope that, can let places stay in business while also let people who like want to drink less do that. But it does feel like we're seeing kind of another round of craft brewery consolidation. I wasn't like of drinking age back then, but I think there was kind of a similar like explosion with the first wave of craft breweries like in the 90s. And then, everyone was opening a brewery in like their garage. And then
Yeah.
once it took hold, there was kind of this like, okay, some of them stayed and got really big. Like that was the era where you had your Deschutes and like, those folks. And a lot went out of business. So I wonder if we're in the midst of something similar. But yeah, it's I don't know. Salem doesn't have too many homegrown brewery options anymore, with Gilgamesh kind of closing its doors. There's Chicha, of course, which shout out to Chicha, but
What do
yeah.
you hear about the closure itself at Rogue?
They owed a lot of money to the port and other folks as well, I believe. But they had hundreds of thousands of dollars owing to the port of Newport for their main space out there. That was where their brewery operation was, and they had a distillery that closed, I think, before this. That was in that same area, and a restaurant. So. It sounded, when the closure kind of all dropped on Friday, it sounded like company folks weren't really saying much about it besides that. And I'm sure the full story will kind of trickle out as things become clear, but there was definitely a lot of money owing, which is not usually a good sign.
And I think the hardest part of this is it does seem like a signal of things to come where it's likely we'll probably see other closures in this industry and related, whether it's restaurants that really are, relying on beer sales are used to in the past. And it's tough to continue evolving, to continue investing in things as like consumer behavior shifts. And in the restaurant industry, your margins are so small already that if you guess wrong a couple times, it can be challenging to make up that loss. So we're definitely hoping people can figure things out and keep their head above water. But it's looking like optimism is running out for certain folks, which is super unfortunate.
Yeah. This was supposed to be our non-depressing episode.
This is supposed to be a cheery podcast. Yeah, yeah, it
It's fine.
is.
You can
But
blame
yeah, it's
me.
hard to.
Sorry,
I
commenters.
know.
I'm a bummer.
bring just bringing the truth with you. No, not at all. It's a hard reality, but hopefully we'll find a way to figure things out. And it'll be interesting to see like what is the next thing that kind of follows the craft beer train that has been pretty popular for a couple of decades now, but it seems like it's kind of fading away a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Rachel, we appreciate you being here, and Salem, thank you as well. Every Wednesday, Coffee Talks, 10-minute updates on what's happening in our community. If there are specific topics you want to hear about, shoot us a DM at either Salem Reporter or What's Happening in Salem. We'd love to hear the things that are top of mind for you, the things you want to know more about. And we will see you next week. Appreciate you all.